Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In today's video we're going to be doing a celebrity inspired Selena Gomez makeup look. So this look is actually for the photo shoot that she did not long ago for her swimwear collaboration. It's this like gorgeous kind of hot pink eyeshadow moment and I just absolutely loved it. If you would like to see how I got this makeup look, then please keep watching. So I've already popped a little bit of moisturiser on my skin and a little bit of a vitamin C serum just because my skin's been absolutely atrocious at the minute. As you guys can see, it's not looking very fabulous. So I've just popped that on just to kind of brighten up my skin a little bit, hopefully help the makeup to just sit on a little bit better. So now I'm just popping on my primers. This is the Urban Decay All Nighter Ultra Glow Face Primer and I use this all the time. In the image, like, Selena's got quite a full coverage like face, but it's still quite glowy and natural. So I'm gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury, I can never remember what this is because literally my label is completely rubbed off. But I'm just gonna use this underneath, kind of like a second primer in a way, just to kind of add some glow to my skin. And as you can see, it kind of just gives you like that gorgeous like natural glow. If I wasn't wearing like a lot of makeup, I always like to just put this on as kind of like a no makeup look vibe. Just when I'm going out with not a lot of makeup on, it gives you a little bit of colour and a little bit of coverage, but it's still really light and lovely. So from here I'm going to go straight in with foundation. So I'm going to use the MASCARA skin based foundation. So I'm just going to pop a couple of drops into my cheeks so you guys can see, and then a little bit on my forehead. Very gorgeous. And then I'm just going to go in with this matte brush. It's just kind of like a kabuki blending brush. You guys might have seen it in my last makeup tutorial, but it just helps to make blending your makeup so much faster. And as you can see, this foundation is like nice and full coverage, but it's not too heavy either. So I think it works really well for this makeup look. I've tried to obviously put my hair up kind of how Selena's is in the image. With my fringe though, it's looking a bit tragic, so it's super stuck down, so that's what like the little pointy bits are at the top of my head, making me look like a pineapple. So obviously I don't look anything like Selena, but you know, this is going to be as close as possible as I can get to her makeup look, because I just thought, I literally saw this look and I don't see a lot of like celebrity makeup looks or events. Like obviously they always look gorgeous and stuff, and I always see celebrities that I think that they look amazing, but I've never really looked at a makeup look and thought, you know what, I really want to recreate that. So when I saw this look, I was like, oh my god, I love it so much, and she just looks so stunning. I love the whole collection. I think she looked absolutely fab, and it was just so like, for me it was quite iconic from Selena. So I definitely wanted to recreate it. So then I'm going to go in with my concealer. So I'm going to go in with the Born This Way concealer in Almond. I feel like I should have probably done my brows first, but in this, with this makeup look, she's actually quite like natural fluffy brows, so I don't really need to like cut my brow, if that makes sense. Wow, I look crazy. But I don't really need to like go heavy with like my brow and my cut crease. I'm just doing like mega concealer at the minute and just kind of going a bit crazy on my face, but she's got like such gorgeous skin in the image. So sorry, every time I keep glancing to the right, it's because I'm looking at the picture of Selena, but she's got this like really light, like gorgeous highlighted inner section. And then again, just with my beauty blender, I'm just like blending all of this out and up. Kind of like to start from the bottom and work my way up with concealer, just so everything's like lifted. This concealer is actually really good at just kind of like, it's quite a full coverage concealer, so all those little imperfections that I've just kind of dotted that over. Even though that's probably where I'm going to put contour on, it doesn't really matter because it will cover. And then obviously bronzer and whatnot will make it darker, and then again just bringing it up the sides of my nose, and then I'm going to start on my forehead and then up the centre of my nose as well, and immediately that's already brightened kind of the central area of my face. Yeah, I just love this makeup. I just think it's really pretty, but it's still quite like fun because it's like got the pop of like the hot pink. So now that's all blended in, I am going to go in a little bit with a bit of a cream contour, not too heavy, because in this makeup look she is actually really natural and glowy, and I think it's more of like a powdered bronzer, but she has got quite a predominant like cheek bronze. Everything else is more quite natural. So this is a Radiant Creamy Concealer from NARS. It's the colour Amande. It's like just a really nice colour for like cream contour, because it's not too like warm, it's got more of like a cool undertone. I'm going to put a little bit on my forehead as well, just because she has got a little bit like on her temples. It's predominantly on her cheeks in the image. And then I'm also going to just contour my jaw because it needs the contour. So I'm going to go back in with the MAC like kabuki brush that I used before. You can kind of just use like a stippling brush, or just any kind of like big, hard, like dense brush. Works really well for this. And again, I'm just kind of doing it in circular motions, these bloody hoops. Blending that in, and you can see like how easily it just blends in like that. You can see, and it just gives you that like really nice natural tan. Again on the other side, and then just blending it in my forehead, and kind of like buffing it out into your hairline, so it's nothing, not like a big line across your forehead. And then I'm just going to go back in with my beauty blender and just kind of dab over my forehead here where I put the contour, just kind of like blend in the concealers. And then on the nose, she's only got like a very slight contour, so again I'm going to go in with my creamy concealer. Just go along the bottom. I kind of do it actually like, I don't know if you guys can see, but kind of like here on the tip of my nose, and then along the sides of my nose and up into my eyebrows. Just take this brush. This is a Real Techniques, I think it's like the Expert. It says targeted blending brush. It's just like that short little stubby brush, but I just think it's the best brush for like a nose contour. And you're just literally like pushing this product into the foundation that you've already got there, just keeping it nice and light, but obviously defining the nose, and then again on the end. And then like I just buff it like into the eyebrows, just to make sure that you've not got like a harsh line, and it just kind of helps to like zone everything all together. And then again just go back over with your beauty blender, just to make sure everything looks really soft and really gorgeous. So now I've put like the majority of like my wet face products down. I'm just going to go and quickly like set my skin, but not really heavily. I'll go in a little bit later and kind of like do like the full kind of caking process. It's just so I can kind of move on to the rest of my products. And I'm just going to literally dust my skin really lightly, just so it doesn't look super damp. I'm just going to start to make sure that this product's not moving anywhere. I'm going, oh, just made cloud of powder on my nose, and then on my forehead, a little bit on my cheeks as well. I'm really liking like this cream contour. Normally my cream contour looks so heavy, but it's a vibe. Right, so then before I go and like fully set my face, I'm going to go in with my eyebrow pencil. So this is the Brow Beater pencil by Urban Decay. I use the colour Brunette Betty. So I'm just going to like brush them up, keep them really nice and fluffy, because in the image Selena's eyebrows look really natural, they just look really full. So I'm just going to start a little bit lower than where my lash finishes, just because I like to thicken up my brows a little bit, and then I'm literally just pulling it up and following it into where my hairs are, and then literally just like tiny little strokes just to kind of give some thickness in the areas that need a little bit more, and then again just following the natural brow shape and just doing it in these like really light flickery movements. And then when it comes to the front again, where this little line is, just like slowly drawing lines back up, and then going back in with my spoolie just to kind of like blend it out. But you can see it's like still very natural, it's just a little bit thicker than the other eyebrow, and it's just a little bit more shaped, which is kind of what Selena's got going on. She's got a bit more like room on the front than me. So I'm just going to again do the same on the other side. So now I'm just going to go in with my Benefit brow setter. So it's just like a clear brow gel. You guys know that I use this all the time. So I'm literally just going to go up and again brush through the brows, but where it's like at the front, I'm just going to make sure that they're brushed up and very straight, because in the image Selena does have like really brushed up eyebrows. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm just like brushing upwards with like in this direction rather than doing it kind of like to the side. So now I'm gonna go and set my skin before we move on to any powders, and just like powder over the areas I want to stay really bright. So on the chin, and then under my eyes, and keep it nice and fluffy. Obviously we are going to be doing a lot of eyeshadow, so you've got to like make sure it's nice and powdered under here. Just, I mean, if we do have fallout, it's not going to be an issue. I'm also just going to pop a little bit of powder on my eyelid. I think I will actually go in with a bit of a P. Louise base just to kind of help the colours pop a little bit, but I'm not going to go and cut my brow or do anything too heavy today. I'm just going to go back in with like this brush and just kind of like buff out the powder. I'm going to go and put a little bit on my cheeks as well, just before we go in with bronzing and highlighting. So on the image, Selena's got these like gorgeous kind of like smoky, pinky, purpley toned eyes, and then it's got like this pop of neon pink on the inner corner and on the crease, and it's got like a little bit of a sheen to it. The palettes I'm going to use today are the Neon palette by Huda Beauty for like the neon brighter pinks, and then I'm going to use a combination of my two favourite Anastasia palettes. They are looking a bit old now. I actually got this one last year for my birthday, so I've had it a year. But this one is the Anastasia AMREZY palette, and it's one of my favourite. It's probably the best one personally that I think they've made. There's some gorgeous like pink shades in here. Obviously we've got the Semza, and then the orange shades kind of help to blend that all out, and then we've got some bright sparkly pinks which will help to kind of add that glimmer to the eye. And then I'm going to be using the Anastasia NORVINA palette, but this is like an old one, as you can see how wrecked it is. But I'm going to use the colour Love and Passion just because I don't really have any colours in that in any of my newer palettes. I'm going to start just first by popping a little bit of P. Louise base on my eyelid. So I'm just going to pop a little bit on my hand. This is just Rumor 2, so it's like the number 2 base, the skin tone 1, and I'm just going to go in with like quite a dense fluffy brush and just pop that, kind of like buff that into my lid, just to make sure that the eyeshadows do have something to stick onto. And again on the other side. And then with the same brush, I'm actually going to start by going in with the colour OG. This is from the AMREZY palette. I never know if I'm saying her name right, but I think it's right. I'm just going to use literally the tiniest bit on the end of my brush and just kind of start from the outer corner, and again just like blending that up. I'm just going to kind of like define that outer corner, but really lightly. I'm going to buff it in. I think it's probably always better to like start with like your darker shade and then work it in, but I just kind of like to sculpt the shape of my eye out first. Then I'm going to use a little bit of OG again, and then this time just pop it underneath the brow, kind of where that cream contour finished, just again to kind of like define the brow, and then blend that over into where the outer corner was. So the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my, it's kind of like my crease brush. It's like this really tiny like dense rounded brush, but it's perfect for blending. And I'm going to go in with the colour Yugo, which is this like really dark purpley shade here. So this is probably going to be the darkest shade that I'm going to use. And I'm just literally again going to draw, kind of like buff out this corner, kind of like a wings liner effect. And then like blend it out into the crease. You can see it kind of like on the other pictures when her eyes open. You can't really see it as much, but when her eyes closed, there is like a full eyeshadow look. And then I'm just going to go back in with the brush I used before and literally just buff this whole situation out. Just really loosely kind of like going around in circles. So that's probably as much as I'm going to do above the crease. And then what I'm going to do is go back in with the smaller brush that I had and go in with the colour Passion from the NORVINA palette. And then here I'm just kind of like sweeping that across the side of my lid, as you can see kind of here. And then just kind of like blending that into the colour that was there before. And then again this side. Just so it's like kind of like a quarter or like a third of the way across your eye. And then go back in with the blending brush. It's more of a case of blending all these colours out with this look. And then what I'm going to go over with is just the colour Love from the NORVINA palette. So I'm just going to pop that on the middle of my eyelid and again on the other side. Just blending in to that darker shade. Not really going much above my crease just because it's kind of like more faded out, so I'll blend it up past my crease, but I'm not going to apply product higher than my crease for this. And then go back in with the fluffy brush, and I'm actually going to just dip this in the colour. Just dab it on my hand just for extra pigment. Dab it over and then kind of like buff this up. So I'm kind of like dabbing it but rubbing it, like buffing it. Does that make any sense? Kind of like rubbing it up and then into my crease and then out. Just keep it quite fluffy. And then dab, 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 dab. And then again dabbing it on top of where we put the colour before, and then just kind of buffing it in to my crease and then out a little bit, just so it's not super heavy. It's more just like smoking out that pink that was originally there. So what I'm going to do is go back in with my base by P. Louise, again just a tiny bit on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to use a smaller brush, and again I'm just going to dab at the tiniest bit just on this like inner corner, just so when we apply the pink it is as vibrant as possible. The great thing about P. Louise bases is they really blend well with powder, so I'm just kind of like buffing it into where we'd put the pink shade before. And then I'm going to go back in with that blending brush that we used before, and again just kind of like buff it into the pink. So now for the exciting part, so I'm going to go in with my Neon palette by Huda Beauty, and I'm going to start, it's kind of like in between this colour here and this colour at the bottom. So I think I'm going to start with like the one at the top, so I'm going to pop that on first, just to kind of give the initial colour. I think it is a little bit too red though. That on there. I'm just going to pop that first on the inner corner, and then I'm going to go in with the pink in this bottom shade and apply that literally straight over the top, but then I'm starting to kind of like bring that up a little bit higher, like into my crease, and just kind of like layering up that colour to make it super bright. And then again I'm going in with the big blending brush and literally just kind of buffing that into the colours that are already on the lid. I'm just going to use this glitter here from the Huda Beauty palette. I'm just going to dab it on with my finger, and then literally just on that bit where the neon pink reaches kind of like that rosy colour. I'm just going to pop that on and apply it on there, and then I think I'm going to just dust the tiniest bit of Anastasia from the AMREZY palette on, again kind of right over where we put the glitter before. And then I'm just going to go again and kind of like buff everything out, just to kind of make sure that everything's nice and blended. I'm just going to go in with that smaller brush again and go back in with the colour Passion from the NORVINA palette, and I'm just going to go back over kind of where that little wing was and just kind of buff that out again. To kind of give it a little bit more direction to the eye. Not super heavy, just a little bit, and then go back in with the blending brush again and just kind of like buff that out. Again with the colour Passion, and I'm just going to start to bring that underneath my waterline on the bottom lashes, and I'm bringing that all the way around. Again like a bit more like heavier on the outer corner, and then just let the remainder kind of buff around. I don't really have white eyeliner, but I do have like the white P. Louise base, which you can use as liquid like cream eyeliners. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of that on the back of my hand and then go in with a liner brush and just kind of pop that on my bottom waterline. So now I'm going to go in with my Becca palette for the skin. So this is the Becca Sunsetter palette, and unfortunately I dropped it the other day, but I'm going to be using this for the bronzer, the blusher and for the highlight. In this whole look she's very bronze, she's very glowy. It's not too much of like a heavy blush, but there is a subtle blush there. So this palette I think will be perfect for that. But the first thing I'm going to do is go in with the bronzer. I'm going to use like a contouring fluffy brush. It's quite flexible, this one, and just dab in with the bronzer shade. And then what we're going to do is literally just like sweep in from where our cheekbones start and buff that into the skin. And then a little bit on the temples. It's not too heavy like I said before, and we obviously did the cream contour. It's like just enough to look like really nice and sun-kissed. Down and blend it in, make sure everything blends nicely. And then just on the nose again, and on the sides, buffing it into the eyebrows. I am going to just go in with the pink blusher shade with the same brush, and then I'm literally going to start on the apples on my cheek and buff it into where we put the bronzer already. So hardly anything because they are quite pigmented, these blushes, and again it's got like that highlighted sheen to it. In regards to cheek highlight, I don't think I'll pop any more on because I don't really think she's got any on. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of blush just on my chin, so we don't look too crazy. But what I am going to do is just get like a fluffy eyeshadow brush, like so, and just go in with that lighter highlighter shade on here, which is kind of like more of a pearl essence kind of colour. And she's got like a tiny bit kind of like on the high points of her face, just because of where obviously they're taking pictures. And then I'm just going to pop it again, run that along the centre of my nose, on the end, and then a tiny bit here, a little bit kind of in this section, and like buff that into the forehead, and then the tiniest bit like under my brow, not too much because it's already super sheen. And then again, before we put mascara on, I'm just going to pop a little bit more face powder, so a little bit more of my Laura Mercier powder. Just pop some of that underneath the eye, just so we don't get any mascara on the skin. I'm then going to go in with my eyelash curler and just give these a little bit of a curl. Just like to like squeeze it into tiny little wedges. And then I like to kind of grab the outer lashes and hold them for a while, just to kind of give it more of a cat eye and make sure that you've got kind of all the lashes in and fluffy. So now I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Lash Sensation mascara, and we're just going to start as close to the waterline as possible and kind of go side to side a little bit and push the mascara up through the lashes, just to kind of give it as much of a lift and like the fullest look you can possibly get. I much prefer to do like my mascara before I put lashes on. I know a lot of people like to do it the other way round, but I didn't really like getting loads of mascara on my eyelashes. So now we've got our mascara popped on, I'm just going to dust it away, just go in with an eyeshadow brush or whatnot and just buff that powder away. That just also helps to make sure that your mascara is not going to come off and run down the rest of the day, like, you know, when you get like little black lines everywhere. That powder just kind of stops that from happening. So normally I would have probably left my lashes as they are, but today I am going to pop a pair of lashes on because Selena has got some gorgeous fluffy, quite natural but super fluffy and winged out lashes on. So I'm going to do them off camera, but the ones I'm going to use are the Land of Lashes Faux Minx cruelty free lashes in it's like their naked range. So this is in the style number 8, and I've been using a few of their lashes recently when I have, you know, wanted to add that little bit more extra glam to my makeup look. So I'm going to apply these lashes off camera and you guys will see me with full lashes. So we're back and I have lashes on. Again, they're just like a really natural lash, nothing too crazy, but you can see it kind of just emphasizes that like cold cat eye. So the last thing to do is just do my lips before we are finished with this look. So on the image, Selena's kind of got like this really like light brown lip liner and then just kind of like a really glossy lip. So I think I'm gonna go in with the lip liner Sweetheart by Morphe. So it's kind of like this really nice light brown shade and just outline my lips. kind of like overdrawing it a little bit, and then just rounding the top of my lips out because Celine's got a really nice round, kind of like full lip, not much of a cupid's bow, it's more like kind of like a love heart shape. The easiest way to like do a round thing is to kind of like bring it back down the other side. And then I'm just gonna kind of shade it in on the sides a little bit, just on the inner corners, just to kind of define the lips a little bit more, give it more of like a Bratz doll plump lip effect. And then we're going to go in with WIFEY. So this is like a matte lipstick, but then obviously we're going to go over it with the gloss. And then just literally popping that in the centre. It's got like a really nice peachy undertone to it. I'm just going to take like a flat like eyeshadow kind of brush, but I like to use these for lips as well. And just kind of like blend that out into where the lip liner was. And then I'm going to go in with a Kiko Hydra gloss, lip gloss. Not sure which colour to do. These are so old that are worn out. This is number 5, which it's probably the right colour, but it's a little bit glittery. And then I think this one's 20, but I've had these so long since I used to work there that they are worn and wearing off. Yeah, that's 17, so I reckon this is 20. I'm going to go in with 20 just because it's like this nude colour. And kind of go over where we put that lip liner. They're such good lip glosses, these, because they're really not sticky. Definitely more of like a gloss that's like a creamy gloss, and they feel amazing if you're on a night out and like your lips are getting a bit too full. They feel really good. I'm gonna go actually over it a little bit more with the colour 05 just in the centre. So I'm just going to spray my face with the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, and you guys know I like a lot of setting spray. So just make sure that that is really full, and you can already see it's starting to bring back some like dewiness to my skin. Just gonna dab over with my beauty blender. So this is the final look. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you think that it looks something like Selena, because that was my aim. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what worked and what didn't. I actually really enjoyed this, and I think it's quite fun to kind of see the inspiration and then how it ends up in the end. I just absolutely love doing this look, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed it too. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think in the comment box below. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon.